I've always had a soft spot for old theaters, the kind that feel like time capsules. The Regal Palace in my hometown was exactly that, a 1920s relic with worn velvet seats, ornate chandeliers coated in dust, and a projector that hummed like it was alive. Last summer, I decided to catch a midnight showing of an obscure horror film called The Last Reel. The poster outside, yellowed and tattered, showed a shadowy figure clutching a film canister, its face obscured. I'd never heard of the movie, but something about it drew me in. The theater was nearly empty. Just me, an old man in a trench coat slouched near the front, a young couple whispering in the back, and a bored teenage ticket taker who barely looked up as he handed me my stub. I settled into a sagging seat in the middle row, the faint smell of mildew and popcorn in the air. The lights dimmed and the projector whirred to life, skipping previews entirely. The film opened with grainy footage of a woman sprinting through a foggy forest, her breaths puffing in the cold. The audio was off, scratchy, with a faint whisper beneath the dialogue, like someone whispering, "Watch it," or "Want it," repeatedly. Uncomfortable. I shifted uncomfortably, chalking it up to the theater's old sound system. About 20 minutes in, the screen flickered violently, the image warping. The woman's face stretched unnaturally, her eyes too wide, her mouth gaping in a silent scream. The whispering grew louder, now clearly coming from behind me, not the speakers. Surprised, I turned, expecting to see the couple, but their seats were empty, popcorn bags abandoned on the floor. The old man hadn't moved, his head tilted oddly, like he was asleep, or worse. The screen flickered again, and for a split second, I saw something else. A tall, spindly figure in the forest, its limbs bent at wrong angles, its blurred face turned outward, shocked, staring directly at me, nervous. My heart pounded. I gripped the armrests, self-reassuring, telling myself it was a gimmick. But the air felt heavy, oppressive. The droning, whispering, turned into a low hum, vibrating in my chest. Frantic, I stood, stumbling toward the exit. But the hallway outside was pitch black, no exit signs, just a narrow corridor that seemed to stretch forever. Footsteps echoed behind me, slow and deliberate, matching my pace. Panicked, I ran, panic clawing at me, until I finally burst into the lobby. It was deserted, the ticket counter empty, the neon Regal Palace sign flickering weakly. Outside, the marquee was blank, no mention of The Last Reel. Somber, I never returned. A month later, I heard the Regal Palace close for structural issues. Online forums mentioned the last film shown was The Last Reel, but the reel itself was missing when they cleared out the projection booth. Sometimes late at night, I hear that faint whisper again, like it's coming from another room. I haven't watched a movie since. I work part-time at a multiplex in a strip mall. A soul-crushing job cleaning up spilled soda and popcorn after late-night screenings. It pays for my college textbooks, so I stick with it. One chilly October night, I was assigned to check Theater 7 during a 10 p.m. showing of The Hollow, a psychological horror film with creeping dread and sharp jump scares. The theater was dimly lit with only about 15 people scattered across the seats. As I swept the aisles, I noticed row 5, seat 13, was empty, but a heavy dark jacket was draped over the back, like someone had stepped out for a bathroom break. I kept working, but an uneasy feeling settled over me. Then I heard it, slow, raspy breathing, like someone with a bad cold, coming from that empty seat. I froze, my broom clattering against the floor. Shining my flashlight, I saw the jacket looked wrong, stiff, like it was propped up by something solid. "Hello?" I called, my voice too loud in the quiet theater. No one answered, but the breathing grew heavier, more labored. The movie's audio warped, the actress's whispers twisting into a low guttural scream, not in the script. The other patrons stirred, glancing around, but no one else seemed to hear the breathing. I stepped closer, my heart hammering. In the flickering light of the screen, I saw it. A slouched figure under the jacket, its head turning slowly toward me. Where its face should have been was a dark, featureless void, like a hole in reality. I stumbled back, dropping my flashlight. The beam spun across the floor, catching that empty face again before it vanished. The seat was empty now, no jacket, no figure. The movie snapped back to normal, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I ran to get my manager, Dave, a gruff guy who didn't tolerate nonsense. When we returned, the seat was still empty, and he chewed me out for seeing things. But I saw him glance nervously at seat 13. Later, an older usher, who'd worked there for decades, pulled me aside. He said a customer had a heart attack in that seat back in the 90s during a horror film and died before paramedics arrived. The theater never replaced the seat, even after renovations. I started noticing it was always empty, even during packed showings. Once I found a ticket stub there, smudged with a foul-smelling, oily fingerprint. I quit a few weeks later. Sometimes, driving by the multiplex at night, I see a faint glow from Theater 7's windows, like a movie's playing after hours. I don't stop to look. I was a projectionist at a small art house cinema downtown. A single-screen theater from the 1940s with a cramped booth that smelled of hot metal and oil. I loved the job. Splicing reels, tweaking sound, watching cult films before anyone else. The midnight shifts were my favorite, catering to insomniacs and horror fans. But one night, during a screening of The Wraith's Shadow, a gritty 70s horror flick, everything changed. The crowd was small, maybe 7 regulars I recognized. Halfway through the second reel, the projector's sound cut to a low hum that didn't match the film. I checked the equipment. Everything seemed fine, but the hum persisted. Then I heard, high-pitched and childlike, coming from inside the booth. I was alone. My skin prickled as I grabbed my flashlight, sweeping it across the tiny room. Nothing. The grew louder, joined by small, quick footsteps, like a kid running around the projector. I leaned out the booth's window, checking the audience below. Everyone sat still, faces lit by the screen's glow. The film flickered and the projector whirred louder. In its light, I saw a shadow on the wall, small, hunched, moving too fast to be mine. My hands shook as I switched reels, trying to focus. The screen went black, and when it restarted, it wasn't the Wraith's shadow. It showed the theater itself, the seats, the audience, all frozen, their heads turned upward, staring at the booth. At me, the echoed, and something cold brushed my arm, like icy fingers. I spun around, and there it was, a small figure in the corner, no taller than a child, with huge, reflective eyes and a grin too wide for its face. I screamed, knocking over a reel. The projector roared back to life, the film returning to normal, but the audience was gone. The seats were empty. I bolted, stumbling down the stairs to the alley outside, my shirt soaked with sweat. The next day I checked the projector. A crude, smiley face was scratched into its metal casing, like a kid had used a knife. I quit that week. The theater's still open, but friends who work there say midnight screenings are cursed. Projectors jam, films skip, and sometimes late at night they hear from the empty booth. I don't go near theaters anymore.